You guys, we are back. We are at the Grind Blueprint podcast, and it has been exploding online. We started with very few followers and very little views, and now we're in the hundreds of thousands for each of the episodes that we've been going in only a few weeks. It's pretty dramatic. Why is this succeeding? Because I'm finding working professionals who are hustlers, who want to make success. They want to work in their community to build their community, and in their space, they are leading experts. And some of them are just starting out and just trying to become really successful, and others have already built something super huge where they're having a huge impact and influence on everything that they do. And one of those people here today is Chef Gerard, and I know him very well because I have been eating his protein, and what I mean by that, the steaks that he's producing at his restaurant called Carlitos Gardel. And you guys know, if you saw some of my Instagram posts, we did an amazing reel talking about his family's restaurant and why it's one of the best restaurants on Melrose, and you need to go to it if you're visiting LA. But beyond that, he is an entrepreneur. He has a bunch of businesses that we're going to talk about today. He's been extremely successful in the restaurant industry, and this restaurant is one of the best in the city. So we got to have some of the best chefs on the Grind Blueprint. So I have you on here today to talk about your level of success. Tell everyone about you and tell me, how you've achieved such, acclamation in this industry so far.
Well, first of all, it's great to be here and great to be hanging out with you like this.
On the patio outside.
On the patio, I love it. On your patio. We've hung out on my patio. Now we're in your
It's
patio.
True. I know. We got to show you. Make sure you show his patio when we do that.
It's great to be here with everybody and with you, of course. So, we got started 29 years ago.
That's amazing, because it's very rare in the restaurant industry to be successful for that long.
So it's really a labor of love. It's kind of a love letter from my family to our back.
That's how I feel every time I'm eating there. Because tell me, is this true or not? Are some of the recipes there your mother's?
Most of the foundational recipes are my mother's, yeah.
So were the gnocchi, which is one of my favorite things, is that hers or no?
It's hers. It's
so
hers.
If you guys,
hers. Yeah.
Even if you're on a carnivore diet, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which gnocchi is not a part of a carnivore diet, but even if you are, you have to cheat when you go to your restaurant because it is one of the best things there, plus the empanadas, which are both not a part of the carnivore diet, but
what about
aren't my favorites. Well, that too. So I guess we can list all the things on your menu, but the labor of love part is the reason why I wanted to bring you in, because there's a lot of restaurants that I go to, that I've gone to for years, and now I started doing it online, showing people all the food that I love. But one of your restaurants specifically, I always bring my important meetings, people that I want to have like a very nice experience, have that personalized touch. I feel like everybody that goes to your restaurant meets you, gets to know the staff. It's a very personalized experience.
We're very blessed. We are really very blessed, not just by our team, but also by our guests, and the fact that our guests have embraced the way we do things, And
what is that? What's that makes you stand out?
Well,
because those are the things I think you're going to tell me.
We're very passionate about what we do.
I can tell.
From the micro to the macro, from the detail of how guests are welcomed and how guests are treated, how guests are how we host our guests, how guests feel about their experience, about themselves while they're dining with us, to how we source all of our protein, how we cook our protein, the different woods that we use on our grill, everything, from the macro to the micro. And it's funny, I was just having a conversation last week with another friend, and I was explaining, she was asking me, how do you guys do everything that you do, and how do you guys do it so well? And I said, we started small. That's the
best way to do it.
We started with my mom in the kitchen.
That's why I said.
We started with my
labor of love.
We started with my brothers on the floor, my dad managing all the numbers, making sure that we stayed afloat. And we started with me in the kitchen with my mom. In high school, I was too young to be on the floor because we were applying for a beer and wine license. So I couldn't be on the floor, but I could be in the kitchen.
In case the secret shopper came in there.
Right. And that's where I stayed. basically.
And so do you feel like a lot of your learning was from experience?
Oh, absolutely.
And did you go to culinary school?
No.
So what did you learn back there in the kitchen at a young age?
I mean, so many things, so many things from basic, from basic elemental things like chopping parsley, always with a knife, never with a food processor,
What does it do for the parsley to do that?
Oh gosh, so many things.
I want to hear this. I'm very interested in understanding this now, because I do the knife sort of seesaw with almost every vegetable.
Good.
It definitely cannot be right.
Good. Well, listen, I mean, the fact that you're using a knife,
I mean, I tend
and you're
to,
not using a food processor.
It's just easier to have a tool and just do it rather than a processor.
Listen, it's great to be able to have tools if you're making something quick for yourself at home. I get it.
Yeah. But like that little thing makes a difference in the flavor and how it looks, right? And
it makes a huge difference, first of all, in how it tastes, because that's the message that the brain is getting most of all, and that's the one that it remembers, how something felt, and it makes a huge difference. It's not a small difference.
But see, these are the little things that make business owners stand out, because I remember the first time I went to your restaurant and I was just like shocked by the overall experience, but overall every single item had really good flavor, clean, fresh, like right, ready and hot at the table, and it was just like the best flavor for one of the best prices. Although I tend to get the most expensive things that are there. So when I bring people, like my financial planner who went for the first time, he's like, go to whatever restaurant you want, every quarter. And I decided to take him to your restaurant. I go, give me the platter of steaks, and then that comes out to be a couple grand. He's like, this has to be a good place, but quality is, you pay whatever it is for quality, in my opinion, especially if it has the overall experience is encompassing.
You really get what you pay for in everything, right?
Right, and that's
especially in what you do as well. Like,
oh yeah, that's why
get what they pay for. Yeah.
Well, that's why I like to bring in people of all various experiences in this podcast that are coming in, because people that are beginning, when they start out, they may start at a different level of price and experience because they don't have the team around them. And then as you grow, you grow into what level you can get from your client.
Absolutely.
And the good thing that I've noticed with your growth is you're still offering the highest quality, the best customer service with a very good price. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to go to his restaurant and spend $1,000 on a steak, but I will tell you, I know viral on TikTok and Instagram, you see these gold covered steaks, and you see like people pulling out of, they're doing sparklers and they're opening a treasure chest that has like a steak on ice or whatever. And honestly, what a waste. They're never really good quality. It's a show. Here you're getting the actual quality of the food, and the way it's cooked is spectacular. So you're paying for a very high quality treatment versus like a show, and I think sometimes a lot of things we see now in business and online and in marketing, because that's kind of what I'm talking about in this podcast, comparing that to everything you do, is a lot of fake. There's a lot of fake stuff that's out there,
we have no gimmicks in my place.
That's why I like it.
We get to the heart of the matter. Hosting people in literally in our home. I spend more time at the restaurant.
That is your home.
Than I do at home.
That's how I am in my job now, too.
Yeah, I know.
I do the same thing. I think this week alone, this past week, I was there almost every day till 10 p.m. at least. And I started usually around 5 or to 7. Somewhere in that range. If someone wants to stay, if we need them. This week, celebrities called me because the iHeartRadio Music Awards are tonight, which I have, and I can't even go to because I have clients that are there, etc. But, what I want to do is go back a little bit to what you talked about as being a child learning, because I have so many young doctors that reach out to me. They want to be successful like me. They want to have this social presence. They want to be able to do the same treatments that I do, but yet 5-6 o'clock hits and they want to go home, or a weekend they're going away rather than spending the time to work. So you're talking about being a kid in the mom's kitchen, which is your restaurant basically, and learning and spending, how much of your youth was spending time learning to cook?
Oh man, percentage wise?
No, I mean, you could just say a lot if you
a
want,
lot.
but how my sense was that was the life, your life, to learn and create what you've created now. So if someone looked at you and said, I want to be like him, it's not a 9 to 5.
It's not a 9 to 5.
You know, this is like true business owners understand the level of sacrifices and discipline and learning that it takes. Plus, you're creating a experience that you over time built out and are continually refining when it comes to the second someone enters your restaurant and then leaves, because obviously you don't want someone to come in and have a bad experience and never come back. The goal is to get your recurring patients like me, who have been going for 10 years, to come in and tell everybody about it, and then the buzz, you know, gets out there. I think a lot of young people nowadays don't see growth that way. They don't want to spend the time that it takes to develop what you've developed or what I've developed. And that's what I thought was really unique for you is, yes, you have what someone may say a smaller restaurant, right? It's not huge, but exclusive tables, beautiful back patio, which, by the way, we had my, did we make the video for that yet? Okay, so that'll come after this then. We had my holiday party at, which I will tell you, everybody there, you know, 2 or 3 of the people that I brought didn't even know the restaurant was there, and they live down the street, because it's such a isolated neighborhood gem. I don't know how you describe it, that you need that reputation. That's why I wanted to do this video with you. But everyone there said this was the best experience that they had with the food and the staff and everything. So I think, you know, people out there that are learning from this, even a chef goes through the same thing that any other business owner would, which is the sacrifices, the long nights, I'm sure financial issues here or there, and, you know, especially probably during COVID, I'm sure we could talk about. And then, you know, the things that you need to succeed, where I feel like a lot of people are losing nowadays because they think they could just create an online store and, you know, do something from home themselves. They don't need to work or hustle hard.
You know, to this point, the whole idea of work-life balance is...
Every time someone says that to me...
As soon as somebody comes and says that to me, I'm like, work-life balance. That's an interesting concept that is...
I never even heard of it. I didn't even know about it until I moved to California. So I moved to California, and then I met an employment attorney. I was like, there's hours? Like, I didn't understand. I go, people work hours? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, you need a 10-minute break after these number of hours. You need a lunch break that's documented. You need this. I go, lunch break? I never ate my entire residency. Never once. I even got in a huge fight with my fiance last night and then we never get in fights, by the way. We never get in fights, Jose, if you're out there watching. And you know him. And we have a really amazing relationship. We work together. That's the next thing I was talking about, your family working together. And he's doing very well, and he's actually helped me propel my business. And if you look at some of the famous people online that talk about business development and growth, like the Hermosis, for example, I don't know if you know them, but they're together. So Alex, he always says that the most he ever made in a year when he was not with his wife was like $3 million or $5 million, something like that. And he says, but now when he's with her, it was 10 times more, right? So Jose, it was the same thing, actually. I did very well, and I've always done very well. But when I brought him into my business, we actually escalated a lot more. So I got in this little bit of fight, and I was like, okay, we need to now go to the next level and keep expanding. But that's going to require you to probably go in an hour early and maybe stay a couple hours later to do this specific training for these new people and this and that. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're 28. I go, I stayed at hospitals for 3 days in a row. I didn't even leave. Friends of mine brought me pizza that I love from my pizza place, and I'd run outside, grab it at 1 a.m, and go back in because they were so nice to do that for me. And I didn't even know, I didn't even know what day it was. And like, he's like, well, I need to have a work-life balance. That's what he said to me for the first time. And I said, oh, well, look at the house that we live in. Look at all this type of stuff. So what do you mean? You need to go work those extra 3 hours so that we can have those things. Like, that's what I was like laughing about. I couldn't believe it. And then obviously, you know, he's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes or whatever. But he's of the younger group. And he never really said that before. But now it's like, you know, when you start getting to the point where you're working that much and you're doing that many things, obviously people need to have time that they spend with their family, friends and stuff. Like, I agree. But the amount of people that say that is so intense nowadays that I feel like true businesses and business owners may even disappear.
Well, you know, in Jose's defense also, just...
Jose is defending you, just so you know.
In Jose's defense, he's not saying that at the onset.
Right, that's true. It's very different. It's after. It's almost like I need a break now.
Yeah,
and that's understandable. You got to have that.
That's different than when people are starting their career.
Oh yeah, I've had.
When I'm hearing that, you know, I'm hearing people like are starting their career and they're like, I want to have a work-life balance from the very beginning, and I want to arrange that and
you know what? If you can be successful doing something that now sometimes success isn't financial. Maybe to that person, it's being able to make enough that they're happy, and then they have these other hours and stuff. That's fine. I think you have to choose what's the best for you. But for me, it was always doing more, seeing more, being better, and then money came with that. You know, you just get that. I never thought about money at all. Now I have to because I have a million staff members that I have to pay for everybody. But
you touch on a great point. My brother and I, we always chased the experience.
Yeah, that's how I am.
You know, we always chased, and we still do, quality and experience.
100%.
And we let the financial rewards come organically. You know,
it should. And I believe that
once people enjoy their experience, you know, that was the main place that we always ground.
I like that because if you look at what successful business owners talk about, people that have scaled very high, they always say that the thing that the people remember the most is the experience, is how they felt when they were there. Even if they had something they didn't like, or, you know, like even then I've literally never had one thing I didn't like there. Except I know your scallops are your best thing, to be honest. This is special. Everyone loves it, and it's in a leek beurre blanc, right?
Right.
I think I remember because everyone that I go with loves it. I don't like scallops, but I eat them every time because he's like, it's the best, and I still pretend that I like them, even though I don't like scallops. But for scallops are really good. But even myself that doesn't like them will actually eat them because I'm like, look, this is the best that it is. Like it's like you don't like my Alec, my videographer who's behind the camera right now. I don't know the number of things he's never tried. I don't know where this kid grew up, and I didn't grow up fancy either, but I'm just telling you, I have never met someone who's like, I've never tried that. I've never tried that. Every restaurant I bring him to. So I make him eat it, and I've never seen someone have to experience so many foods so that I can actually see what quality is or not, because then he'll know. You know, he'll be able to tell me for real because he's never had it. So I think he had scallops at your place for the first time, and he loved it, actually.
Is that right?
He did.
That's awesome.
And I think empanadas too, actually, but there was a bunch of things. But I think that if you look at businesses as a whole, the success, in my opinion, of recurrences and people having a good reputation is mainly through the customer service part and having high quality, whether it's the clothes you sell that don't break down because you can wear them forever. Like, these pants are way overpriced from Prada. They're like thousands of dollars, but they honestly last me for years. So it's like, if you pay $1,000 for something, but it lasts you 20 years, that's not that expensive. I have jeans from literally, and I think Jose made me throw them out from when I was like in college, and they still last. Like, you know, I mean, things like that. So that's kind of how I think of at a restaurant. If the quality is so good, who cares if it's more expensive? You know? Whether or not, I mean, obviously if you can afford it or not, but if someone couldn't, let's say, the good thing is with your restaurant, it's really not overpriced at all. Actually, in fact, I actually think it's less expensive than some of the super expensive, quote, expensive best steak restaurants in LA, that you don't get the same level of experience.
I appreciate that.
So do you eat at other steak restaurants?
This is a question I get often. And I'll tell you,
because I want to tell you something I do, but go ahead. I'm going to tell you.
I don't get out much.
I know, but I don't either.
You know,
I don't either. Actually.
I don't get out much.
So maybe what we need to do is have like steak undercover.
And you want to do that? Let's go.
We'll go to a couple restaurants. I'll pay. I don't even care. We got to go to like Steak 48. We got to go like Cut. We got to go to like Mastro's, and we'll have ourselves and a couple of people who have been to your restaurant. and we'll do like a scoring while we're there of the restaurant to see who beats. Is it Carlitos Gardel or the corporate entity? You know, like what I mean? And I think that would be actually kind of fun to do.
That sounds like fun.
But I'd be curious to get an explanation from a chef, you know, as to, because what I do, and I don't think now actually with my podcast, I bet you a lot of people will know, but I go to other spas all the time. Every single month, I actually set a cost amount I'll spend to, I've probably been to every single spa here. Peninsula, Edition Hotel, all this Korean one that I just went to in La Cienega. Like there's a bunch of ones, the ones that people are going to. I pretend I don't know anything about skincare. I pretend they don't even know who I am.
But hold on a second. People don't know who you are when you walk into a spa.
I'll tell you why, because medical spa is different than the doctor's industry. So medical industry in cosmetics is, I'm known as like probably the most progressive and innovative dermatologist. But if you're have just like a med spa, like a spa at a hotel, or if most of what you do is like facials and some basic skincare, you actually might not know. When I went to the Henry,
I understand that.
Spa, was it the Henry? What is it called? The hotel that's there, not the Henry. It's on Sunset. Shoot, what was the name of that hotel? It's across from Casa Madera. What's the hotel over there? It's the one that's right next to it, across. Because this is a really good thing to talk about.
The Chateau Marmont?
No, that's further down up the street. It's called, I can't remember. So I went to this one hotel off of Sunset, and right when I walked in, the manager's like, "Dr. Emer, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, I wanted to get an experience from another spa or whatever." So he knew that who I was, and he was actually excited that I was there, but what I usually do is I go there and I have a set sort of budget of what I'll spend. And then I see if they actually offer me all the services. Because I'll book a service that's mediocre, like a regular basic thing, in anticipation to see if they'll try and upcharge me or upsell me. Because I want to see how people, because I'll do any of those treatments. Someone said to me, "I'll give you the fish, the fish facial or whatever that's going to make your skin," I'll be like, "I don't care what it costs, do it," But they never do. They never do. They never offer, like they have these exclusive services and stuff, and they never do. But at restaurants, I feel like you're always getting offered like some of the most exclusive things, whether it's like a caviar edition or truffle. You always have a special. There's always like, you'll always say to me, "I just got this steak in from whatever." I'm like, "I want that. I don't care. You don't even tell me the price." And then I go, "Whoa," afterwards. I'm like, "Oh my God, that was an expensive one, but we liked it." Alex, my financial planner, was like, "That was the best one I ever had." And he's like, "I don't even care what that costs."
You know what it is with restaurants when we're bringing, for example, with the day-boat scallops from Maine, when those are flown in, I mean, we have to have them that day.
I know, you got to use them. Yeah.
And you have to enjoy them that day. I mean, I now I know you don't like scallops, but you always order
I eat them. I order them every time.
So when I know that I'm getting a guest that really appreciates something and I bring it in for them, I mean, it's got to be enjoyed that day.
That's really great. But that's also why it's nice that you have stuff like that, because I'm sure there are people that, if they're going out on a date, they want to do something more exclusive, or when I bring people, it's usually show them the place for the first time. So I want them to have like something nicer that they wouldn't have had before. But I do think like in business, for you to be successful, you have to kind of have your staple things, but then be able to offer these other services that you add on to increase, your revenues, but also help like your reputation, because those other things that people don't have or don't do, the money comes with it. It's that experience and that exclusivity people will then see, and they'll want to keep coming back,
Absolutely. And I think the most successful way to do that is to give the guest or the patient, even if it's the first time that you meet them, to understand what it is that guest or patient needs. In my sense, it's a guest. In your sense, it'll be a patient. But what kind of experience are they having, and what could help like elevate that experience?
Yeah, like if I come in and I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys, I have this Gerard. I got this producer, and I need to impress him. He wants to have the best dinner in LA. Bring out the best, right?" So then offer all the exclusives, offer all the best.
Right, and you know, if it's a couple they're celebrating their anniversary, and she's a pescatarian, and
you go.
It doesn't matter that I brought in the most incredible steak,
right.
because that's not what she is going to be enjoying.
Course.
So it's like pivoting and realizing, okay, what does this experience need,
right,
to be elevated, you know?
So back to, because there's two things I want to talk about now, otherwise I could talk forever, is back to when you were a kid and you were learning and you developed. So then how did you actually from that get into actually becoming a chef, having this restaurant, and now creating this more elevated neighborhood experience that people can go to wine and dine both casually, and if they want to dress up, they can, you know? It's a pretty big flexible, well, no, it's a very flexible answer, because anyone can go to your restaurant and feel like they had one of the nicest experiences, even if they're in sweatpants. I mean, you really can't go to, like, I would say some of the restaurants in Beverly Hills in a sweatpants like that and feel like, you'd probably feel like people are like looking down on you, or they might not treat you the same because you're not dressed up, you know. But by you, it's warm and welcoming all the time, no matter what. Same experience. So how did you get that from becoming, you know, a kid in the back of the restaurant helping out to where you are now?
Well,
in a few minutes.
In a few minutes, yeah, that's the challenge. You know, I think it all boils down to like the true definition of hospitality and hosting friends in your home. I mean, when you know, if you're hosting friends in your home, sometimes it's a dinner party, and sometimes it's casual, and having that flexibility, you know, in your hospitality spirit, to know that these guests that are walking in are looking to have an amazing experience within this context, and those guests that are walking in are looking to have an amazing experience within this context, and being grateful to both, you know, being grateful for both.
Yeah. What is the experience that you think people have when they come there?
You know, I think
as relating to like business, as to like relating to business, like if
for
someone,
my business,
yeah, like just in general, because like you open the door and right there is the nice, beautiful, nice older woman every time almost,
right.
Or the older man. I don't know, or maybe not older, but don't have them yell at me for this. But middle-aged guy, yeah. But they're like, you're already right away. You're warm welcomed, right?
Right.
That doesn't always happen in a nice restaurant.
I feel like when guests come into Carlitos Gardel, they're welcomed, and they're welcomed into someone's home. You know,
That's how it feels.
They're welcomed into someone's home, and when you're welcomed into, like, if you were my friends who were ever welcomed into my mother's home, when she cooked something, you know, they were in for the treat of their lives. So you know what I mean?
So that's how you that's how you built that level of experience.
And so that's I guess how we tie it all together.
That makes sense. Yeah. What is it like working with family?
You know, for us, it's really a blessing.
Because that's not always the case for people. There's lots of people where working with family has led to negative consequences, or they have issues, you know, because of it.
I mean, I can understand, and I've seen examples like that. With us, it's really a blessing. I mean, my brother, his field of expertise with wine, is so grand that I'm in awe of his expertise and his talent, and I basically I stay out of it. In fact, I participate in the curiosity of how he does what he. I do.
Okay.
Of course.
I know you taste it. I don't really ever drink much.
So, and he also respects my space, and we collaborate, because oftentimes I'm working on a dish, and so he's gonna have to pivot the wine list a little bit to make room for, to create a pairing.
That's cool.
And sometimes he'll bring in a very special, unique wine, and I don't necessarily have a dish to pair with that. So it's about, there's a constant collaboration happening.
That's cool. And then financially, you've never had any issues with family?
No,
That's really good.
no. We're all on one team, you know?
That's how it should be.
We're a tight group in that sense.
That's really good.
We're all on one team.
What I was going to ask you. There's one thing. So what, if people are listening, what is authentic Argentine food? What's an Argentinian meal?
An Argentinian meal, for the most part, revolves around wood-fired grilled meats. And not just meats. You know, we do offals, entrails, sweetbreads, which you've had my sweetbreads. Sweetbreads, blood sausage, heartier things. And then, you know, so there's the more rustic side of Argentine grilling, which is the sweetbreads and the blood sausage and the chorizo. And then there's the more refined, right? So then we start working our way up to the cuts, from a skirt steak to a ribeye, to the filet mignon, to, of course, you know, the ribeye cap that I pioneered in LA. It's been now 21 years since I peeled off the first cap of a ribeye.
Wow.
And I served it in the restaurant.
Do you have a picture of that? I wish you did, because I need that in the podcast.
I have a picture of that.
Oh my God. You have to give that.
I'll send it to you.
Give us some pictures of you as you grew up or something in there. That'd be great. But just so you guys know, the rib cap's my favorite. I don't ask about the price, just get it. And you'll figure it out later. It depends on the time of the year and the size. But I will say, of all the steaks, I love the skirt steak. It tends to be one of my favorite things. Every time we go, everyone's like, you got to order it no matter what. With the French fries, everyone loves the French fries there. But the skirt steak is really great. It isn't skirt steak tend to not be, I feel like, unless it's in Mexican carne asada or something. But like
that's normally a different. So
what is the difference?
Well, there's the inside skirt and then there's the outside skirt, and those are the technical names based on where they're located. So for the carne asada that you're mentioning, it's usually the inside skirt that's used. The outside skirt is the skirt that we serve.
What's the difference in flavor?
There's a big difference in flavor, but there's a huge difference in texture and really in size. The outside skirt is a wider.
Okay, because yours is not really chewy.
Excuse me. The inside skirt is a wider cut. The outside skirt is the thinner, flatter. No, and it's not chewy.
Yeah, and that's why I like it a lot.
And also the one that we use, the one that I've been able to source and hunt down and maintain a relationship with the purveyor, that's particularly tender and juicy.
So if you go, you need to get that no matter what. It's really good. So that's what Argentine. So are there a lot of
And of course we have the whole.
Yeah, keep going. Go.
Yeah, when it comes to Argentine food, I mean, we have a big European influence, primarily Italian. So that's why you find pastas, you find gnocchi. That's why you're a big fan of gnocchi.
I know.
Every 29th of the month, it's traditional gnocchi day in Argentina.
So good.
So gnocchi is a big part of the restaurant. Raviolis, pastas are a big part of the restaurant. And in some parts of Argentina, I mean, you know, we don't do it at Carlitos Gardel, but pizza is a huge part of Argentina.
I love pizza.
As well.
Be too many carbs if I went there with the pizza too. I already have a lot.
We focus more on the steak and on the grilling side, and of course we round out the menu with the pastas and, you know, all of the appetizers and things. But
and really quickly, I'll just say one of my other favorites, the fennel salad. Honestly, I don't know how you made this.
That I created. Yeah,
is so good. Everyone I've given it to likes it, even if they don't like salads or fennel or even know what it is. I don't think he even knew what fennel was. He's shaking his head. He doesn't know. It was so good. How did you make that salad?
Oh, that salad. I was actually.
Because it's very refreshing.
Yeah.
It's like a hearty salad. You have texture in it.
I was hosting a dinner for my cousin. My cousin had asked me to be the godfather of his child, and I was going to be hosting a dinner for him and his family. And he doesn't eat greens.
Oh.
He doesn't eat anything.
You need to figure out a way to do
green.
that.
So I thought, what can I do? And I know that his family, they enjoy fennel. So I'm like, I'm going to make, instead of having the greens instead of the lettuce being the body of the salad, I shaved some fennel. And the fennel is the body of the salad.
Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of a Greek salad, but not Greek.
Right.
I don't know how to it's just the cut up vegetables, but not the Greek stuff.
Right.
It's the stuff that fits for your type of food, you know. But what I wanted to lead into was what's huge right now and trending online, besides the fact that people are really trying to lose a lot of weight, which we can talk about in a second for you, because you've lost how many pounds?
80.
Over 80 pounds, and soon to be getting a gladiator surgery, I hope, at some point. But what's trending a lot right now is weight loss through the use of peptides, diet, and exercise, which you guys know I do a lot of hormonal optimization. Peptides, we were even talking about it years ago when I was like, let's get you on the peptides, let's get you into the gym, and I tried, and then he just decided to go carnivore, which we're going to talk about. This is the third thing, because
and fasting.
So intermittent fasting is also a lot of the carnivore people actually do pretty long fasts, actually, up to 14 hours, actually. And
I do a 24-hour fast.
Yeah, that's
23 hours.
Crazy, but it's good. It's shown you. I can't do that, but it shows you definitely have the results from it. It makes it easy with the type of food you have that you make to do a carnivore diet. So what is the carnivore diet? So just for people out there who don't know, or if you don't know, there's a bunch of Instagrams that you can go see, but one of my friends who's the Superhuman Diet kind of pioneered Instagram, talking about basically fruits, cheese, and meat to be a strict, way to be able to lose weight and be healthy, because the studies actually show that cholesterol improves and blood pressure and heart attacks and stuff, even with things like butter, which people get very scared to eat, but they don't understand that things that are processed are worse for you. Like if it's boxed or if it's canned or these energy drinks and things like that. But if you're eating something that's one ingredient and it's very healthy, even when you mix those things together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So with Argentinian food and Argentinian meat, how easy is it to do carnivore?
It is so easy. It's intuitive. It's very, very easy. I mean, that's what I do. I eat. I'll have, depending on the day and how hungry I am, I'll do between a 16 to a 20-ounce steak.
Yeah, that's what most of them do.
In that hour that I'm eating.
Mm-hmm.
And I do pack it with vegetables. So I'll have the fennel salad.
Perfect.
Which, by the way, I got to tell you something about that salad that I think you'll appreciate. But,
I got to hear this.
So I'll have the fennel salad. I do grilled vegetables for the most part. I love grilled vegetables, so I do that. I do cheese. I'm importing an Argentine provoleta cheese, which is basically the cheese is aged in such a way that it can be grilled and it doesn't actually melt.
Oh, that's
it
cool.
Develops a nice char on the outside.
It's like a steak.
It's like a cheese steak, yeah. So I do that. Fruits, I do mostly blueberries.
Yeah, any of the high antioxidant fruits are really good for you. All the berries. Some of them will do a lot of like things that have fiber in them to slow the digestion down, like orange and mango and stuff like that, because they have a little bit higher fiber. And they also will do a lot of avocado because it is higher fat.
That's what I do. Yeah. Mostly
So
avocado.
those are usually like the best. Even like pomegranate seeds and stuff like that you can eat. But if you just did cheese, fruit, and meat, you would do really well. So as a business owner, do you feel like the stress of it and the amount of work you had to do caused you to gain all that weight originally? How did you gain the weight?
I gained the weight really when I started making ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
It became this thing where I gained 10 pounds and then I gained a little bit more and a little bit more, and you just become more complacent.
Yeah.
To the
without the diet and exercise.
You start getting a little sluggish from all the. And I was, I wasn't just sampling. I mean, I was so happy and I was so proud of the flavors that I was really indulging. Yeah, and
little Mario Batali over there.
And my signature ice cream, the dulce de leche granizado with the bittersweet chocolate chips that you love.
Oh my God!
When I cracked that code, it took me back to my childhood. I was having
every day
quarts of that.
Yeah, that's a lot of calories. That's the exact opposite of carnivore, you guys. So don't eat that, but only have it as a special treat when you go to those restaurants.
And so it kind of became a slippery slope, and then you become complacent and you kind of settle into this new kind of reality.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. I think I find that a lot of people that see some of the work that I do online with the ab sculpting and this and that come to me and say, I want to look like that, who are at least, let's say, overweight or have a lot of weight to lose, they're in a very similar space, whether the food around them, you know, yours is from your job, but let's say because their job was so stressful and they worked a lot, they were just kind of eating, and then they started eating bad all the time, and it just kind of led into, now I'm not going to work out as much because I'm too busy, and then it led into that, and then it's too late. And so now I tell them the only way to really fix that is to change your mindset around. It's not even,
Absolutely.
you have to, it's almost like somebody that's an alcoholic. You have to be like, okay, step one is admitting you're an alcoholic. Step one in these cases are admitting you're overweight, and then saying, what am I going to do about it? You know?
And you know, that initial pivot, is that too loud?
No, it's okay.
Okay, great.
It works.
So that initial pivot into the carnivore, specifically the carnivore, and into the intermittent fasting was so liberating. And the
What did it
stress,
do?
The
What did it
stress
do?
just melted away.
It's
too.
actually easier. You don't eat as much. It's less time consuming.
It's less time
It's much
consuming.
easier to make.
I can, not only that, I don't have to think about, you know, before it was like waking up, thinking about breakfast, thinking about every meal. Now I know at 3 o'clock I start thinking about crafting my one meal.
Yeah, it's like one or two. That's what most people
Yeah,
would do.
I actually just have one.
You can if you hit if you hit your numbers.
So it's
So that's
coffee
really good.
and mate are my companions throughout the day. For the most part, mate is my companion.
That's
throughout
good.
the day.
That increases your metabolism.
And so I have to think about that one meal between 3 and 5. And obviously, you know, on Sundays is the day that I spend with my wife and the family. And that day she gets to plan out our meals, and
That's good.
I don't do a lot of intermittent fasting that day, and I just go with the flow.
That's great.
And enjoy myself, and that's kind of like my cheat day.
That's perfect.
If you will.
Yeah, once a week. That's minimal.
And even then, I'm not very abusive in terms of like what I'm eating.
That's good. I
I
mean,
will
usually
indulge
when
in
you
a little bit of ice cream and the sweets.
Well, usually when you have that type of dedication with a meal, with a diet like that, and it's really changed you because you literally melted away, you don't even want to eat that much anyways. Afterwards, you're used to not eating as much, and you
That's
get
the
full
thing.
really fast. And a lot of my patients who I have put on, let's say, a GLP-1 like a semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide, whatever, and I've got them now on some of my peptides. I have a supplement now that I want to actually give you called VitaSculpt. It actually has a couple ingredients in there that increase your metabolism and burn a little more fat. One called AOD. It utilizes fats in your body to constantly be burning it. Another that helps inflammation in the gut, in joints, brain, actually helps brain function, and just helps people kind of like sleep better and feel better. So you obviously improve that as you lose weight. It helps you sort of enhance that a little bit. And then it also has one that gives you a little more focus and brain health. And so that is a supplement. It's
Sign me up.
oral. Yeah, it's easy, and it would help enhance. But a lot of my patients are on those ones that I said were coming to me that were at that place where they really needed, once they've made that sort of recognition that, okay, I have a problem type of thing, because they could die, you know, if they have kids, they could have a heart attack, they could have diabetes. So I turn it on them and I say, look, this isn't about aesthetic. This is about you, one, getting the best result if you want to do a treatment with me, but two is so that you can live longer, because otherwise you're not. So losing 80 pounds makes you so much healthier, and allows you now to, I feel like, get into some of the supplements, some of the other things that will further enhance everything that you've been doing. But the one thing I wanted to bring up about that was, you know, how you did that was basically your restaurant, which now you're going to have as a mobile restaurant. So explain to me the concept of restaurant, because just so you guys know, I tested it out, and I have videos that are going to follow this on the restaurant you're going to talk about in a second, which basically delivers you carnivore, because you're getting the meat, you're getting butter. I don't know what's actually in the butter. I got to talk to you about that, because some of them may have sugar. We have to see.
They don't actually.
Okay, I want to know. That's what I need to know. And I get my fennel salad with it. I don't know if it's on the menu, but I always got it.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Yes.
I don't think it was, but I think I got it. Did you add it? Okay, you might.
It's now called Dr. Emer's salad.
I'm ordering. I told you guys I'm gonna order at least twice a week. I told Nicole we got to start doing it because I want it.
It's on the menu as Dr. Emer salad.
Oh my god, it's great. So we're gonna promote that for sure. I want everyone to go there. And then you get like a vegetable or a side and stuff like that. Like I was doing a vegetable, and then I ate some fruit with it. Like I actually was like smashing up blueberries and putting them into the butter and smearing it on the thing. I'm coming up with ideas.
So I have the
carnivore ideas.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So Chard is, I coined the term steak bistro.
I love that term.
And the idea with a steak bistro is that it's controlled portions at an affordable price.
Especially for the high quality that you're getting. Because you're getting a lot, and you're getting a really high quality. How many is 8 ounces or 10 ounces of meat? Okay,
8 ounces. So
that's a lot.
We're doing a grass-fed, grass-finished fillet. We're doing a USDA certified Angus Prime hanger steak, a USDA certified Angus Prime picanha.
Picanha is really good.
Picanha is great.
Well, can you explain to people what it is? Because I don't think anyone even really knows.
Picanha is.
I didn't even know.
Picanha is a cut that's traditionally found. Forgive me, Argentine friends. It's traditionally found in Brazilian cooking.
Oh,
just joking with our
it's funny.
Next door neighbors. You know, we have an ongoing thing. It's the sirloin cap is what it is. It's a cut of meat that sits above the sirloin.
Yeah, I like it. It's very good.
And it usually has a fat cap on it, which I actually
take off. But I feel like some carnivore people would eat it.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's a little, when it's grilled, when it's not roasted, and when it's grilled, it can be a little chewy.
Oh, yeah, then you wouldn't want it. Rubbery.
So that's why I removed it.
Okay.
Yeah. We also do an 8-ounce ribeye medallion, which is really the center piece of the ribeye. So once you peel off the cap, it's the ribeye that remains. It's perfectly clean. A beautiful little ribeye. And I just actually included a 6-ounce portion of the cap.
Oh, nice.
Of the ribeye cap.
So I'll be ordering those.
Who enjoy that. Then we pioneered the first of its kind compound butter menu.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. So this is what I wanted to talk about. So the carnivore people out there, or at least in Los Angeles until Chard gets throughout the United States, hopefully, there's butters that come with this, which basically fit this carnivore mentality of having a high quality butter. So you can have, there's a woman online that I follow that literally eats stick of butter, which I would not suggest doing as a doctor, but she does do it and lost a lot of weight and claims that it helped improve her skin. But these butter is something you can have on this diet. So how did you craft these compounded butters?
Oh, I just chased delicious flavors. So we have, I created a chimichurri infused butter.
Yeah, that one's actually one of my favorite ones. Although I do like the bone marrow, which we have to talk about in a second.
Okay, we can talk about that now.
Bone marrow is insane.
The bone marrow has no butter.
I know.
The bone marrow is cooked bone marrow that's then whipped, and it turns into a butter.
It tastes like butter, literally, but even better.
It's amazing.
So that's also something I think people would love because, that's even something I think some people would even put in their coffee. I know it sounds a little weird, but people do the butter into coffee. They might even do the bone marrow into it.
It's really special. I think the one that concerns you a little bit is the fig jam butter.
Fig.
And I need
to know, is fig butter certified carnivore or not?
I'll tell you what's unique about the fig jam butter. And I actually was thinking of making a video of me making the butter.
I want you to make that video so I can do a side-by-side on it to talk about that. And we'll post it.
It literally starts with caramelized onions. And by caramelized, it doesn't have any sugar.
You get the sugars from it.
It doesn't have any sugar. The onions develop the sweetness.
Right, exactly.
And then so
it's not added real sugar.
I add fresh figs.
That's brilliant.
And then some herbs and spices, and then the butter. So even though I call it a fig jam butter, it doesn't have any sugar. It doesn't have any sugar. It doesn't have any syrup.
So it's certified carnivore.
As long as you can have figs. Can we have figs?
Yes, you can.
Right. So then it's
that's amazing.
It has no sugar.
So the plan then has to be we're gonna have to take top 10 carnivore people on Instagram and send them the fig with a steak. And get their reactions when they eat it.
do it.
and tell it, and then we need to videotape that. So that's going to be the plan.
Let's do
so
it.
that we can promote what you do and the stuff, because so you guys know out there, Carnivore is, I was following it for a long time, very detailed. Now I kind of do a little bit of everything just as healthy as I can. But it's definitely, in my opinion, the easiest diet to follow that can keep you really healthy, and the quickest that you'll actually see a result if you do the diet the way that it's meant to be, because your body really quickly transfers over from using the food you eat as energy to the fat that you're storing, because you're not giving it a lot of carbohydrates. And even though you're not getting carbs, you're getting some carbs from sugar that's in natural fruit, but all the energy is coming from the fat that's in the steak or the butter or the avocado, or people do bone marrow, they do liver, like stuff like that. So it's really, I think, very beneficial, especially good for anti-aging, decreases cholesterol, decreases heart attack and stroke, prevents diabetes because your blood sugar levels are so much lower.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're on things like a GLP-1 or some of the peptides that we give people, including MOTS-C, for example, you guys, or anything that stimulates your mitochondrial cells or your liver, this really is beneficial for you. So going to your restaurant, number one, and number two, trying out, if you're in Los Angeles, Chard, I think they would do really well with that.
We've been having great success with Chard. Yeah, we feel very blessed. We've been having great success with Chard.
That's very cool.
And the other thing about the Carnivore that I wanted to add is that it's very sustainable.
It is.
I mean, I've been doing it since June, and it's not any of this up and down yo-yoing. It's very sustainable.
Yeah, I would love to see. Do you have pictures of yourself in the chef's jacket now and then?
I should.
So we need that for the front
Sure.
of the YouTube thumbnail,
Sounds
because
good.
it'll show your weight loss on there. But I think that's really cool for you guys to see, because you have somebody now who is kind of living and breathing their health and their nutrition along with their career. That's like what I do. So I obviously work out a lot, and it was more before about me caring about how I felt, and it was my way to kind of like think and have my brain detaching from work. But now it's a part of showing that your work is a part of the lifestyle, that I look this way, so I want my patients to look that way and feel this way too.
Right.
And if you're at a restaurant and you're offering kind of like everything that's bad for you, I would assume that most of the clients were not going to look good. So if you're offering things that are healthy for you, or can be really high quality and healthy, now people that are also fit and care about their health and fitness can be coming and not worried about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I love that. What are the future plans on the mobile service? On our bistro?
On the bistro, just raising awareness, raising awareness, and maybe expanding some hours, and seeing where that takes us.
That would be great. I mean, yeah, the goal, what is your goal? To try and see how many, how much you can get out there and how many orders we can get going, and just people to start to realize.
And it would be great, one of the goals eventually would be to have, to be able to expand into satellite kitchens.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
And have one a little further east, one a little further south, all within LA, to be able to cater to all of our LA guests.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. Are there times where you felt in your business that you weren't going to be able to make it? Or have you always had success?
No, when we started as a family, when it was just the five of us, because I have another brother whom you haven't met.
Oh.
So when it was the five of us and we first started, I mean, there were days when we would look at that door, and this is before.
This was on Melrose.
The same restaurant.
Wow.
This is before social media,
Oh, yeah.
before we had all these tools at our disposal to be able to reach people. We would look at the door and wonder if it was going to open.
Wow.
If somebody was going to approach the door and open the door. And those first couple of years were, challenging. Anxiety was high. Uncertainty was high. We had to make sure that every guest that sat down and left would be a guest that would return.
Yeah.
And when anxiety flies high is when a lot of things can go awry. So we did a really good job. I think my parents did a really good job at keeping our feet on the ground, teach us to have faith in our discipline, in the work that we did, to know that we were doing the right thing. We were preparing the right food. We were giving guests the right service, and to kind of ground to that, and develop faith. And I think that got us over that initial.
Well, I think the first 3 years of a business, there's a lot of doubt because there's a lot of risk and you don't know. And I remember when I first started, a very successful dermatologist in San Francisco, because I had my fellowship there, when I moved, said to me, her name's Kathy Fields. If you guys don't know that name, she started Proactive. So if you guys know Proactive, it's the biggest, still the biggest, they're worth billions of dollars. So Kathy started this. She was my friend. And when I left San Francisco to here, she goes, listen, I'm going to call you in 5 years. And she actually put it in her phone at that time. This was like 2014. She's like, I'm going to call you in 5 years, because in 5 years, you will know if you're going to be successful or not. Because when you plant your seed somewhere, you need to give it a minimum of 3 years to start to feel like you have something going. And then 5 years, you'll know if it's going to escalate. And she would say, you're going to have doubt. You're going to have a lot of risk because you take out loans, do this and that. But if you believe in it, you just keep doing it. You keep doing it. So I made tons of sacrifices during that time. I had to miss on family things. Like if I had a surgery that was booked, or I had a patient, I remember on over holidays of the first year I was here, I couldn't go home or anything like that because I had 2 or 3 surgeries that were booked. And one of them was my partner did a facelift and I did a laser. And that weekend, my partner's fellows were supposed to take care of that woman. But instead of doing that, they decided to go out of town, didn't tell me. And I get a phone call the next day that she can't get this wrap off of her face and this and that. And they told her do it on Monday. And I'm like, you have to do it today. Like she had aggressive laser, face of all this stuff. I didn't even have a key to the office yet because I was just a new person. I had just started in like August. So I went to CVS, bought all the supplies, drove to her house in Century City, took 2 hours to clean her face, unwrap everything, check it, make sure she was fine, wrapped her back up, and her results are incredible. It's still my client today, and she's happened to be a very big realtor here, and literally has sent me 1 million clients since that time, because those sacrifices that you make help lead you into getting the clients, getting the reputation, and you're doing things that people won't do. So most people won't sacrifice, don't want to have the risk, the headache, the worriness, the sleepless nights, or the loans.
It's not for everybody.
No. And I have somebody right now who works with me, who I think is a great surgeon, and he keeps asking for more and more money and things like that. And I said to him, I go, look, let me show you of everything I bring in what I actually make, so you could see. He didn't believe me. He didn't believe me that you may see a number and then the actual owner is only bringing like 10%, 20%.
Yeah, the owners take all the risk, and oftentimes,
Well, for a while,
we have
less reward financially.
Less reward. Sometimes we have to put in.
Yes, which I continuously did for many, many, many years. So for the first 5 to 8 years, I lived in a apartment that had no furniture. I had some furniture pieces from when I was in college still that I brought to residency and fellowship and here. And I had all my clothes were spread out on the floor in piles, and my bed didn't even have a frame. I just had the mattress on the floor, and I did that for 6 years, 7 years. And so people, they see what you have now and they think that, that was all. They didn't see all of that stuff.
Right.
And also at that time too, social media wasn't as big, so people didn't show as much about their lives. Now with Kardashians and everything beyond, everyone's showing everything they do, literally everything. You go out, they film you on the street, they film you this. I was driving my McLaren the other day, and for you guys that don't know, I have a couple car companies, and so one of my cars is from one of our car companies, and so I'm driving it, and I laughed because I said more people talk to me in the car when I was driving because I was in traffic. So this guy drives up. He's like, can you rev the engine for my son? He loves cars. And he was like 10. And I was like, so I was like, okay, I'll rev the engine and stuff. And like, people don't see everything that it took to get to those types of things, and what, what it is and what people see. But the reason I bring that up is people are videotaping me. They were just videotaping while driving by. 10 years ago, no one did that. Like now it's everywhere. People just videotape, and it's like they're live streaming. They're doing this all the time. So what people see now is behind the scenes of everything. They see everyone's inner, like something bad happens. It's funny, like I'll see this video where this person literally gets shot over here, and this girl's crying on her phone, and people are like, aren't you going to try and help this person? But instead they pull their phone out. Like life is so different now that they don't see all the stuff that you had to go through at the beginning. And that's the sacrifices that I think a true business person makes. But I think those that really want to be successful, and may not even be financial, they just want to set a legacy, or they want to imprint on their industry, or with you, you know, developing something with your family that's like becomes well known and has a good reputation. Those are the things that I think like a true entrepreneur will want to see success in. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Really. Well said.
So
Very well
what
said.
else? What is, I would say one other thing, is there a non-negotiable in business? Like meaning, if someone were to say, I want to be, they're a chef maybe, and they want to start a restaurant. Is there something that's non-negotiable in their personality or in their drive, like whatever it is? Like what would you say for them to be successful do they need to do, or how they need to be?
I think it's the
Because you
very,
have 29 years.
I think it's the very thing that you're talking about, is the work ethic. The work ethic is a non-negotiable.
I agree. So what do you think that, what type of person has that work ethic?
Well, I think someone who's who understands that they have to give it all, you know, and at the same time have the heart to give it all to what they have to do, to their task, to themselves, to their family, to, you know, to ask to somebody that may have the humility to ask for help when they need it.
Yeah, that's important to do.
To ask for forgiveness
If they make a mistake.
Because
A lot of mistakes.
Because when we're, you know, when we're all in on something, and sometimes, you know, people around the periphery get hurt.
Oh, they do.
So having that humility to say, guys, I'm sorry, but this is consuming me, and I have to do this. I have to see this through to the end. I think all of these are important qualities, you know, that and tools that somebody needs to have to be able to see something through to the end.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that someone who really wants to start out, have a reputation, be successful, you have to be willing to put everything into it. You know,
Absolutely.
and sometimes that may be the expense of that work-life balance for a while. And I hate to say that, but there were like weekends where friends of mine went on vacations and I couldn't go, or at the beginning when I didn't really have any money, I couldn't have eaten this stuff that I ate at your restaurant. I could come for the fennel salad probably, maybe a gnocchi, but that was it. You know, so you have to choose like where you're spending your money, because you're putting it all
Right.
into everything that you're, you know, investing into. So, and you have to be willing to make those sacrifices. And I think it's a lot harder for people nowadays when they see Instagram of all the luxury bags and jewelry. Although I'm wearing, you know, this stuff, but they see that and they go, oh, that's what I want. And they want that first before they're in the financial freedom, or before they have the ability to do it. I think that's where we are now, is leading to some potential serious consequences in the future for the generations that we have coming. I hope that some of the people are watching some of the Instagrams that I follow, where it's like talking to, like we're talking about how you become successful, how you treat people well, what's important over money and success, or what is success to you. It may be more than that, your legacy, your reputation, how you treat people, you know, and you know, how people know you and that type of thing. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I think your restaurant reflects, you know, a successful business that's built a reputation over 29 years with family-oriented type of eating and service. And I just think it's going to grow from here, especially now that you started Charred, which I love. Reminds me of Chopped, the game show. for some reason. It just reminds me of it. I don't know why. It's like I see you cutting the steaks and like getting them out to service, you know, which I will be ordering and testing the butters. So I'm going to get some influencers for that. And but that's it. I just wanted everyone to know you. Is there anything that you want to say about what you do or your industry or you as a successful entrepreneur?
You know, first of all, again, thank you for having me.
Anytime.
So much fun. You know, I think loving what you do is at the heart of...
Yeah, we didn't talk about the passion.
At the heart of everything, you know? I wouldn't give up what I do for anything.
So when you wake up every day, you love going there.
I love it. You know, and sometimes that love, that passion isn't all smiles. Sometimes it's stress, but it's like you couldn't tear me away from it.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but I studied music my entire life. I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter.
Oh my God, we'll do that second part 2.
That's something that I'm slowly getting into and back into rather. And we'll talk about that at some point, I hope. But at one time I had, you know, a record. I had a record deal. I had the opportunity to pursue that, and leaving the restaurant was something that I couldn't do. You know, we had
oh my God,
the LA Times discovered us rediscovered us at that point. Irene Verbilla did a 4-page spread in the restaurant. This is back in 2004. And right as I was gearing up to launch my music career, this happened, and the restaurant just blew up, and I couldn't leave the restaurant.
So that says a lot, though, because you had 2 things that you loved, but you chose the restaurant above all.
Yeah.
That says a lot. I mean, that says a lot. And actually that brings me to a point. I think that a lot of people have strengths. A lot of people have a lot of passions and ideas. And I think the best entrepreneurs are the ones that focus on one and make it really successful. Once that one has been as successful as you can be, then you figure out a way so that you don't have to do it as much, and then you can focus on the other things. The people that aren't as successful are the ones that try and do a million things at one time. So you kind of actually followed the blueprint of becoming a successful brand by not doing the music, but it's something that you loved. So it's hard. How hard was that for you to kind of give up? Not pursue per se.
You know, my family didn't tell me to give it up. My family was encouraging me to follow my dream. But I saw the potential with the restaurant now that we had been put on the map as a culinary destination. And I thought, you know, how could I give up my first love that I started with my family to go and pursue this other thing, which I also loved, of course, but I couldn't be torn from the restaurant. So
well, that'll be for another day, because that I think is a good point, because a lot of I think the most important thing, and what I've noticed a lot, and I think this is becoming more common again, I hate to say this with our younger generation, but you know, when they take a job and they go, that's not on my job description, or I wasn't hired to do that, or they don't want to jump in and help out if needed, you know, or they say again the 9 to 5 or the hours thing. That I was always one to jump in and work and help and do whatever it took to make that business or that group succeed. And I think that the people that talk like they're not passionate about the job that they're doing, you know, even if it's like, even my maid, we have an office housekeeper. She loves the job. Every day she comes and tells me, I love Dr. Emer, I love this job so much. Don't ever let me go. I come here every day, and I've never seen someone clean with such compassion. Like she's so passionate about it. She cleans everything, puts stuff away. She even takes the towels from my bathroom. I have a bathroom in my office actually at work, and takes them home to clean for me, because she's like, I don't want them to go to laundry service. I want them to be cleaned by me. So you have the best towels and everything. I've never seen somebody even at that level take such pride in what they do. You know, but then you have people where they'll find ways to sue a company, or they'll say bad things about them, and the better of it should be that you just don't do the job. If you don't love it, you don't want to do it, then just don't do it, versus cause problems and harm to other people. And then you see someone like my maid that probably only has the credentials to actually do that job, but does it with such care and loves it so much and respects it, when people have these opportunities and they don't appreciate it.
You know, I tell my staff, what does it take to succeed? Every good virtue.
It's true.
It takes everything.
Yeah.
You know?
No matter what job you have.
No matter what job you have. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good ending. You guys, it's Chef Gerard. You got to check out his restaurant. We'll tag it and we'll have him come back on for step 2 so we can learn about his music career.